The infectivity of viruses can be preserved for many decades by freeze-drying them in vacuum-sealed vials, which can be stored long-term in a freezer at -30 degrees centigrade or for a few years at 4 degrees centigrade. Working in an appropriate safety cabinet, Cecile is adding Heapy's buffer and sucrose at final concentrations of 0.025 millimolar and 0.2 molar respectively to the infectious cell culture medium and mixing the contents thoroughly. The Heapy's buffer and sucrose stabilize the pH and increase the survival time of the freeze-dried virus. This buffered infectious cell culture medium is then dispensed as small aliquots into freeze-drying ampoules. A label containing a barcode is then applied to each ampoule to identify the contents. A silicone cap is then applied loosely to each ampoule. The ampoules are placed in the wells of a cooling plate at -80 degrees centigrade, and they are then rapidly transferred to the freeze-drying cabinet, which has been pre-cooled to -25 degrees centigrade. The freeze-drying process is initiated by evacuating the atmosphere from the cabinet using a vacuum pump. After the pressure gauge reaches 1.03, the temperature of the cabinet is gradually increased over a period of about 24 hours until it reaches -10 degrees centigrade. The freeze-drying process continues inside the cabinet until the barometric pressure shows 0.006. The temperature is then gradually raised to +20 degrees centigrade. The ampoules are then sealed whilst still under vacuum. This is achieved by pressing the caps into the ampoules as demonstrated. The freeze-dried ampoules are then removed from the cabinet and the outside surface is disinfected. Each cap is then fitted with a metal capsule as demonstrated. These caps are extremely difficult to remove and are therefore suitable for safe transportation and storage. Their removal also requires a special tool, as will be demonstrated below. These ampoules can be stored for decades in a standard freezer, which is situated in the appropriate BSL containment laboratory. Recovery of the virus from the sealed ampoule can be achieved safely in an appropriate BSL containment laboratory and safety cabinet as follows. Carefully remove the metal retaining capsule, as demonstrated, and gently remove the silicone plug. Aseptically add 200 microliters of sterile distilled water into the ampoule and ensure that the entire contents of the ampoule are solubilized by mixing thoroughly. The virus is then ready for use. Finally, it's important to note that there will be small variations in the procedure for freeze drying in different laboratories.